look at what he did to that field at Sandown.
I love the way he jumps. He steals lengths out of them.
I think he's got an absolutely major chance. Do you think he's the winner?
No.
There's one at 100 to 1 that I'm going to mention.
And the nap of the Cheltenham Festival is the... Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for our preview of day 4 of the festival. We've had 3 fantastic previews already with the likes of Oshie Murphy, Racing Willow, Liam Hedgecock and also Andrew Halligan from the finishing line. But for day 4, we are joined by the wonderful Izzy Phillips. Izzy, I bet you're really looking forward to the Cheltenham Festival week.
I am massively. Especially like today, we've like picked a really sunny day to do this, haven't we? You can see like the sun trying to get out, but yeah, I'm just so gutted that we can't go.
No, that's it. It's going to be tough, but we'll be back there next year, and there'll be the virtual Raw on day 1, I'm sure, and I'm sure RTV will probably try and do something with regards to it.
You know, like clap for carers.
Yeah.
Just everyone scream out of your front door or your front window when the first goes off.
You can get some odd looks up the street, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I know. People that are not watching racing be like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, they can cheer Ballymore home in the first race of the festival. But yeah, everyone who has watched our day 1 preview will know how much I fancy that horse. But we'll kick things off today with the Triumph Hurdle, the opening race of day 4. The current betting at the time of filming on Oddschecker, the best price will be Zanahiyr at 5 to 2 as your favourite. Quilixios is 6 to 1. French Seal 8 to 1. Tritonic 10 to 1. Adagio 11s. Dufflecoat 16s. Naslam 25s, and Bigger the rest. Now, Izzy, I'll start with you here. We've got 2 at the top of the market for the Gordon Elliott team. We've even got Dufflecoat in there for the Gordon Elliott team. He's got some really good juvenile hurdlers. Now, Zanahiyr seems like a horse who's got a lot of speed to burn. He's probably the quickest horse in the race, but Quilixios looks like he's a future stayer and will stay a little bit further. What have you made of this race looking at it?
Well, looking at the race, I noticed that there's quite a few of these that are actually going on the weekend at Kempton. So I'm kind of like, I'm going to keep my powder dry for those and just see how they actually run before I make too many comments. I mean, Tritonic in particular caught my attention mainly because I was watching the racing yesterday, and there was an interview with Luke Harvey and Nico de Boinville where Nico kind of alluded to the fact that the horse today, Heros de Sol, who just lost, 17 lengths beaten just a few moments ago at Warwick. When Luke was speaking to Nico, I think on Wednesday, he alluded to the fact that Henderson was trying to avoid, he called it Kingy's horse, Tritonic. So to me, they seem quite worried about this horse. So I think that I want to see how it goes at Kempton, but I'm quite hopeful that Tritonic, I think, was going to run quite a strong race. I do like the Gordon Elliott pair. Like you said, Quilixios, I think, beat a lot of these comfortably before at Leopardstown. So for me, I think I actually like him more. But I think Adagio for me. I just really, really like this horse. I mean, I'm a little bit biased because I was on it when it won last time, but I just thought it beat Nassalam so easily. And you've got to look at like Gary Moore's horses are really like, they might not have necessarily been in top form when Adagio beat Nassalam, but they're still quite hopeful that Nassalam's going to come out and run a really strong race. So for me, that's got to put Adagio like up there. So for me in this, I quite like Adagio, but I might eat my words after watching Tritonic at the weekend, so you don't know.
There we go. Jack, it's a very good little insight to the race there from Izzy there. I mean, my one worry with Tritonic is that he's only just beaten Casalupi, who is another one for the Gary Moore team. Obviously, Gary Moore's also got Nassalam, and I probably think the yard think that Nassalam is a better horse than Casalupi. It's not guaranteed, but I probably think that's the way forward. I know that you did a good little bit of analysis on Quilixios after his race at the Dublin Racing Festival, and he was very, very quick that day. What do you make of the race?
Yeah, see, first watching Quilixios, I thought he was a bit harshly treated from that race because a lot of people said visually he wasn't that good. But I do think it does revolve around Zanahiyr here. I mean, I think 5 to 2 is actually quite a good price. I don't think it goes off much much larger than 7-4 on the day. And what I do like is he's so versatile. You saw at Fairy House, you can go off at a quick pace and he can pick them all up effortlessly, or at the Dublin, or when he was seen next at Leopardstown, they can go at a dawdle like he did at Christmas, and he can easily have speed to burn, like you said. But the performance he put in at Fairy House in November is definitely one of the best I've seen from a juvenile in a long time. I mean, Druid's Altar and Robbie Power set a really good pace there, especially for a juvenile race, and he was happy to sit off the pace with St Sam and jumped impeccably the whole way around and pick them both off with ease. Now, of course, I've zoomed into this in a lot of detail because the Royal Bond was on in the same day. So from a time perspective, it was nice to see how he compared to Ballyadam when Ballyadam burst onto the scene with quite a nice Royal Bond win. Now, the races aren't too comparable because the Royal Bond was gone, like they went at an absolute crawl compared to what Druid's Altar led them at Fairy House. But from the last hurdle to the line, Ballyadam could only eat away about 0.3 of a second from Zanahiyr, even though they'd gone at such a crawl, and it turned into about a 6 furlong sprint. And I think this just emphasised how good this performance was from Zanahiyr. And he hasn't actually been asked any questions from Jack Kennedy, except for a little shake of the reins, and boom, he's gone away on both of his recent wins anyway. Don't get me wrong, Quilixios has had a lot of like unfair criticism from that win at the Dublin Racing Festival, because I don't think it was actually run to suit. They went off at a decent clip. He clattered the last and just crawled over it, but then actually went away quite nicely. But I do worry that the value's gone with Quilixios. I think 6-1's a little bit short. I think 10-1 was a good price. Anything double figures is okay, but I just think Zanahiyr's the one to beat here.
Yeah, it's going to be a real cracking race. I'm actually with Quilixios. I've really liked his performance that he put in at the start of the season. I think he has looked class since. I think staying up the hill, I think he might be the one that just might catch Zanahiyr out on the day, but we'll have to see. I know Gordon Elliott's very keen on the horse. Just quickly with regards to French Assil, the one that switched the Mullins yard, is anyone sort of worried about that horse? Izzy, have you looked into it much? But the horse hasn't had a run for Mullins yet, but could be a decent type. I mean, 22 lengths last time beating Coltor, who's since come out and won. Would you give French Assil maybe a squeak at a surprise in this race?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the prices at the moment, and for me currently it's third in the market. So you've got to think it's I don't think it would be too surprising to see a really strong showing in anything trained by Mullins. You've got to rate at this festival because he's coming over mob-handed, isn't he? But in terms of the fact that it hasn't had a run for him yet, I think that's probably my only concern, because you like to know that they've seen a result from the training, the schooling, and as of yet they won't have. So it's going to be a little bit of a baptism of fire for this horse to have its first run for the stable at the Cheltenham Festival. I don't think it's an easy feat, but there's nothing to say.
Yeah, there's also another one for the Dollies in Donnellys in there, Auton Caleur, who ran really nicely at Auteuil on debut and has gone to Mullins, but we don't actually know if he's going to go to the festival, if they're going to save him for next year, or if he's even going to go. He's 25-1 at the moment. I wouldn't really be getting involved even with non-run no bet, but it'd be interesting to see if they give him a go in the Triumph anyway.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. Jack picking Zanahiyr there, Adagio for Izzy, and Quilixios for myself. Remember that Mullins did win this last year with Burning Victory. I know that he probably stole the race with, unfortunately, Goshen falling at the last, but we know he's going to get his revenge and win the champion hurdle on the opening day, so we'll have to see. But yeah,
you've managed to mention that every single day, you know.
I reckon I have. I reckon I've managed to mention that Goshen will win the champion hurdle every preview. So it's fantastic. But that's our preview of the Triumph hurdle on day 4.
Of course, we filmed our preview of the Triumph before Tritonic's run at Kempton. I think we should have a look over it. I've spoken to Izzy and Sam again since, and we both agree that he's way too short at 5-2. Yes, it was a very, very good performance, but from a time point of view, it wasn't that great. I mean, he was only 3 lengths quicker from the second last of the line than Hometown Boy, who was the handicap, who ran over 2 mile 5 on the day. He was only a little bit quicker than Cape Gentleman, who of course won on the same day over the same distance. And yes, he does have gears to burn, but we think at 5-2, he's a little bit short. Yes, he'll be flying the flag for the British contingent, but we stick with our original selections of Adagio, Zanahiyr and Quilixios.
Right, we move on to race 2 now on day 4, and it is the Albert Bartlett Novice Hurdle over 3 miles. Your current betting looks like this: Statler 7-1, for Kira 8-1, Tory Graph. I've had enough Tory graphs over the last year watching the press conferences from 10 Downing Street. Barbados Bucks 11-1, Farouk Delen 14s, and then you've got sort of 4, well, I think 16, 20-1 bigger the rest. Jack, Statler and Fakira last time out, finishing behind Gaillard de Manille. You're going to say that the form of this is fantastic. And they did stay on really nicely 3rd and 4th in that race. I personally think these two are actually really nice prices for a novice hurdle. Out of all the bets, they're probably really nice at 7 and 8 to 1. Are these the two that you're going to side with, or are you going to go somewhere bigger?
No, I think you can look at the front two in the market. I mean, I think Fakir is a little bit too short. You could have got 18 to 1 just after the race. I think that was fair. I think 12, 14 to 1 would be fair enough. But my problem with Fakir is I think if you gave him 3.5 miles, 4 miles, he'd still be staying on up the hill anyway. Like, I think even if you gave him 5 miles, 20 miles, he'll be staying on up the hill. Like, he was off the bit so early. And Jack Kennedy was having to work and work and work. And yeah, he did stay on really well, but he was never worrying Gail de Manille. And what I did like about Statler was he was actually the only one in the race who was throwing down the gauntlet to Gail de Manille, saying, yeah, I am actually going to try and win this race. Gentleman's Game of Fakira just picked up the crumbs of Gail de Manille as he swept past. But I think it was Danny Mullins who was on board, who was happy to actually try and win, which was weird, because although he dictated the pace, he didn't stay on as well as Fakira from the last hurdle to the line. Obviously, Fakira had the quickest time, as I've said to you before, Sam, which is obviously brilliant when being up to 3 miles from the 2 mile 6 that was there. But I don't know. It's interesting because I've been heard that Farouk Delane in Gentleman's Game might not go. And then suddenly, if they both don't go, then the 7 to 1 about Statler, I think, doesn't last. And you're looking at 5 to 1, 4 to 1. I mean, Tory Graf, he's the only one in the front three of the market who's ran over 3 miles, and 14 of the last 16 winners have all ran over 3 miles before. So he's interesting. And I know Velvet Elvis came out to win by whatever it was after he beat him by 13 lengths, but I don't know how strong the form of that is, if I'm being honest, because he beat someone who came second in a grade 3, I think, next time out. So yeah, I think it's Statler looks good at 7 to 1. And there's one at 100 to 1 that I'm going to mention, and I told you I'm going to mention this, Sam. And it's one for Jonathan Sweeney. It's Marla Allstar. Now, he's 100 to 1 in some places. He's only had the one run over hurdles, and that was when 3rd to Statler on Statler's maiden win. Now, Jonathan Sweeney isn't scared about putting this horse into big races. He was in the champion bumper. He finished 12th, and he was entered over 3 miles this year, but got pulled out due to stiffness in the morning. So didn't go, but he was heavily backed into favour over the 3 mile trip, and he was staying on quite nicely. He was 3 lengths behind Glens of Antrim as well. I mean, I'm not sure if he's going to go, but he's definitely one I'll be keeping an eye on at a stupid price.
Blimey, Jack, 100 to 1, ridiculous. Izzy, I actually quite fancy one of the English raiders to run quite well here, and that's Barbados Bucks for the Nichols and Cobden team, most likely on the day. Has run 4 times this season. I mean, was beat on his opening start over 2 3/4 miles, but since then has been running over 3 miles. The races he's running, the form might not be the best, but he seems one of those horses that just does enough. And I think a strongly run Albert Bartlett that we're guaranteed to get, I think, will really suit this horse, and he'll be staying up the hill. Are you with the Irish here, or are you with the English?
I'm actually with the English on this one. I was going to just completely disagree with Jack. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm looking at that Statler and Fakira race. Fakira, and I wasn't massively impressed. I mean, I backed Statler that day, so I was disappointed, to be completely honest with you. So I quite like they are outside of the top 3. I'm with you on Barbados Bucks. I can't ignore a horse that's won the last 3 times out over 3 mile. Paul Nichols as well. The past couple of years, I feel like Paul Nichols, he wins a lot before the Cheltenham Festival, and then when they get to the festival, I feel like they've almost been to the pot too many times. So this could be one of those situations, because obviously, look, it has been to the pot a few times. But the one I really like for a really, really in-form yard is Fergal O'Brien's Alaphilippe. The race kind of fell into its lap a little bit, I think, last time out. But just as like a personal, maybe more of a sentiment, I'd love them to get to their 100 winners this season. And I just think that actually this horse has got some pretty good form there under its belt, and I think it'll enjoy it here. Like you say, fast run race, and I think that that's what Statler and Fakira may give it. So I think that, yeah, but I'm between Barbados Bucks and Alaphilippe.
There we go. Well, a couple of English selections we've been discussing this week, saying that the Presbury Cup looks all in Ireland's favour, but maybe a couple of English horses potentially go in. So, Alaphilippe for Izzy, Jack with Statler, and also is mad on 100 to 1 shot. I'm sure that'll be on the screen. And I'm going to side with Statler. It's a boring selection as well, but I do think that he stayed on really well nicely. He's always been up towards the head of the market. He's been well fancied for the race, and I just think that the price is. I think he could be shorter. He should be shorter already in the market. I'd like to see him sort of 4-9 to 2, 4 to 1. But I think he's a talented horse. So our little preview there on the Albert Bartlett Novice Hurdle. Right, we move on to the big one, the Gold Cup, the highlight usually of the whole festival, over 3.25 miles. Album Photo, the 3 to 1 favourite, very short for a Gold Cup, but quite rightfully so. Champ 13 to 2, Aplutar is 13 to 2 as well. Royal Pagaille 10 to 1, not guaranteed to go here. Santini, the boat, is at 14 to 1. Kemboy and Frodon 16s. Native River, you can get a 20 to 1 in some places, and then you've got like some Manilla, Indo and Lost in Translation at bigger prices. Izzy, Album Photo, 1 run. We're all going to try and get him beaten here, but I don't know why we're trying, because he's a classy horse. He's done it so easily last time out. Do you think he's the winner?
No.
Wow.
Again, like you said, I think, like you said, you mentioned that, you know, we're all going to try and get him beaten. I just haven't warmed to Album Photo. I don't know why. I mean, I have quite a love affair with the Gold Cup. I'm sure we all do. But I feel like previous years I've been quite lucky, because I'd picked out like Corto Star, I had Imperial Commander, and then I had this whole phase of just wanting Conti to win a Gold Cup, and then got destroyed by Lord Windermere and whatever else. And then it was all on Q Card for like 2 years in a row, and then falling at like the same fence both times. I feel my heart is just completely shattered when it comes to the Gold Cup. Native River picked that all back up for me. Seeing him win was just incredible. And then with Album Photo again, I think I just fell quite flat, because I suppose it goes with who you have your money on. So I never really warmed to him. So I am looking for something to beat him on the day, and I've got a couple that I fancy. And it may sound mad saying it, 11 years old, but I fancy Native River to run well. Whether he'll win or not, I don't know. But if he gets out in front and gets a rhythm, watch out, because look at what he did to that field at Sandown. Absolutely turned the screw against a good horse as well. You know, it eyeballed Yala Enki and saw him off. So I think you've got to rate Native River coming into the race off of that form in particular. And then there's another one that I quite like, and I know that Venetia's quite keen to stop us all going mad about this horse, but I quite like Royal Pagaille. I just think it was really, really impressive at Haydock, and obviously it won twice before that as well. Now, it's entered in quite a few of the races at Cheltenham, so I don't even know if it's going to go in this. My feeling is that Rich Ritchie would like it to go in this, so that he's got entries across all of the big races. But I just fancy this to go well. I feel like this is one of those like under the radar type horses, and because she's playing it down, and because she's quite keen for us to not get too hyped up about Royal Pagaille, I do think that it could actually end up being quite a decent price, because I feel like even on the day, you know, interviews on the TV, I think that it will drift, because I can't see her actually almost supporting it to win. But I think both of them will go well. Whether they get their head in front of Album Photo or not, I don't know. And you've got to look at on its last run, and I know it didn't win, but you've got to think it did run well, and its jumping looked a lot better. How dangerous is Champ?
Yeah, it's a real cracker, an interesting race. Now, Jack, Izzy mentioned their Album Photo. I completely agree with her. Not really becoming the public horse, because we don't get to see him at the likes of Christmas or the Dublin Racing Festival. He has that one run, but you know, why change something that works in the past? You know, to win a Gold Cup is huge for this horse. Now, we've got plenty of interesting things to talk about. I mean, you've got Champion here, who's won the Game Spirit over 2 miles. Nicky Henson's plan probably going quite well there, and he's come out and said he's glad it's worked. you've got Frodon in here, a King George winner, a festival winner. I mean, Bryony Frost's going to have a hell of a ride aboard this horse. Whether she can do that over 3.25 miles in a race with so much depth like this, I'm not sure. And as you mentioned, Native River there, I think the 2018 winner, I mean, it was a really nice run in the Cotswold Chase at Sandown. And I would give him a major chance. You'd give him an even more of a major chance if that was run at Cheltenham and he'd done the same thing. But he's guaranteed to stay. Now, what do we make, Jack? Frodon and Native River to go off from the front, potentially turn it into an absolute battle, a bit like Mike Bite did when he won that 2018 Gold Cup. Do you think that something like Albin Photo might just be set up for him, or would you give Champ a chance? We haven't discussed him much.
Yeah, I don't really think it's that much of a betting proposition, if I'm being honest. I'll be watching it eagerly, but I don't think I'll really be having a bet on it. And I think it's a bit pointless for me to almost go through it because I'll try and get Albin beat again and I'll probably fail. It seems like an absolute hopeless task. But yeah, people just haven't warmed to him because we don't really see him that much, do we? We don't get to see him, especially behind closed doors. One run at Tremor. I mean, I don't think he was actually that amazing at Tremor. I think he was late out to grass last year and he was a bit more backward than Willie thought at the time. So he came by the stand and I actually wasn't that impressed with his jumping or how he went. But obviously, he jumped into it and stretched clear. I mean, it was very nice to see Champ in the game spirit. He jumped really nicely. And God, do I want him to do the business. It would be unreal for Champ to do the business. But 13-2 is way too short. A double figure price, at least, it has to be. Frodon would be a great winner, wouldn't it? But I don't think he'll be gifted a lead like we always see. I mean, it's just going to be set up for Albin Photo, it seems. And plus, I mean, last year he was obviously 13 lengths off Applutard in the Ryanair. So he even has a lot to find on Applutard. Now, of course, Applutard won the Savills, and what a Savills it was. But I don't think that the form with Kenboy is that strong. I know Kenboy's come out to win the Irish Gold Cup. He's come out to win the Irish Gold Cup and he's probably going to go to the Stayers. So I think that kind of says how strong that is, even though he doesn't like Cheltenham. I think it's one too many chances to give Manilla Indo another go. He's going to have to bounce back in some style if he wants to do it here. Native River, again, be a brilliant winner, but he's 11 now and we've only had the last winner over the age of 10 was back in 1969. Who was it? It was What a Myth. So that would be an absolute myth if he managed to do that. But yeah, it does unfortunately all revolve around Albin Photo. I'll be looking to oppose him, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to the race.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've done it the last 2 years. I've tried to get Albin Photo beat, and it's just never happened. So this year, I am going to side with him. But do you know what? I'm going to give Native River a big each way chance. I think he's going to be the one staying at the finish. I don't think he's going to stop. He might get past, but he'll still be plugging away in behind. So I'd give him a great each way squeak in the race. So it's Albin Photo for myself, Albin Photo for Jack, and Izzy given a mention for Raw Pagai and also Native River. So a couple of interesting selections for the big one, the Gold Cup. Right, before we touch on the handicaps, we'll finish off with our last race, which is the Mares Chase over 2.5 miles, a brand new race for the festival. And Willie Mullins has the top two in the market here. LMA 9-4, Colreevy 5-1. Put the kettle on, not guaranteed to go here. I think that she'd be going to the Champion Chase, but she's 8-1. Annie Mac is 9-1 for Chris Hughes. Shattered Love 11-1. Dame de Compagnie 14-1, then Salsa at a day like Katie and Elfile 20s and bigger the rest. Jack, LMA, very good last time out, and obviously before that finishing in behind Allaho, which looks good form with regards to the favourite in the Ryanair at the moment. I've personally been very impressed with Colreevy, who is the other one from Mullins. Paul Townend's probably going to get the ride aboard this horse because Mark Walsh will be aboard LMA for the JP McManus team, you'd think. And, well, she's beaten Pencilfuller Lead early on in the season. Pencilfuller Lead actually beat Latest Exhibition, who we know has been finishing up the backside of Monkfish the last few times, but maybe Latest Exhibition wasn't on his day that day. But still, I think that this horse here is a fair price. I'd rather be taking the 5-1 about Colreevy than LMA. I think that the horse has got plenty of improvement in it. Has had very decent form in previous years, and like I say, 5-1 looks a very fair price in this race. Would you be with Colreevy LMA, or are you going for a one at a double figure odds?
Yeah, I probably don't really want to be going for something as short as 2-1 in this brand new race. I know LMA has good form over 2 mile forms in behind Allaho last time out, which is definitely good enough form. But 2-1, I think, is short enough. I don't think there's too much value there. Annie Mac, I think we should look at as well. I know she's gone from strength to strength with her wins at Doncaster and Warwick, but my worry would be her form at Cheltenham. it's pretty underwhelming. Now she was 9th in the Marsh last year and was 30 lengths 5th in a Grade 3 around Christmas time. I think it was December. So I don't know if she'll be able to put it up to the Mullins guys here. But yeah, I'd probably go for Colreevy. I mean, she ran okay in the Mares Novice Hurdle last year. It was nothing too impressive except for Concertista. But I think the form, as you said, with Pensacola Lead looks all right. And if I was going to have to stick my neck out for someone, I think it's an all right each way price.
Yeah, and I think if you actually go back to 2019, she was beaten by Gypsy Island. Now, God knows where Gypsy Island is. We were all waiting to see this horse. We've had no reports on where she is or what's going on. So we just have to wait to see. But she actually beat Abacadabras as well in 2019. So she has some really good form but from previous years as well. And I'd give her a major squeak. It's lovely to see the mares getting a race for their own going chasing. Who are you going to side with for your first ever pick in a mares chase?
I think Ellie Mae obviously looks the form horse here after beating quite a few of these, and then obviously the second to Allaho. I think it's really, she's really short at 2 to 1. I just can't, like you said, I don't know whether this is going to be one of the races where you're going to start, laying your mortgage down on a race that's never been run before, but at a little bit of a bigger price, just a horse that's also got some good form, is Put the Kettle On, and it's about 3rd in the market, I think, at the moment. And I just think that obviously it did run creditably behind Chac and Poursoir and Notebook at Leopardstown, and it has got some good form over this distance. So I do think that Put the Kettle On at a little bit of a better price, I do think could give Ellie Mae and Colreevy a run for their money. Between the two Mullins horses, I think I'd personally side with Ellie Mae, just because I think that it'll almost be a familiar task because she's beaten a few of these already. I feel like there's always that kind of upper hand that you've got going into a race, knowing that you've got a few of them beat. So I think there'll be that level of confidence there from her as well.
Yeah, I do suggest that people, if they're watching, just make sure, because I don't know if Put the Kettle On, I think she'll probably go to the Champion Chase. So if she doesn't, then she's definitely a good bet. But I think probably go for non-runner no bet if you're going to go for that one.
Yeah, definitely. I think if she does go here, she has got a major chance. But yeah, like I say, non-runner no bet probably the best thing for Put the Kettle On. I mean, looking at it, it would have been great to see Benny DeGill. We haven't actually mentioned it on the previews, but we should have done so in the Mares hurdle. But Benny DeGill, unfortunately, not running, was scheduled to potentially go in this race as well. So we're not going to be seeing her potentially not even this season, which is a massive shame. And it's another mares race and Mullins is dominating it once again. A brand new race and Mullins would have had the first 3 in the market had Benny DeGill run, which is absolutely ludicrous. But yeah, for myself, it's going to be Colreevy. For Jack, it is also going to be Colreevy, and Izzy will be saying Put the Kettle On, like we say, non-runner, no bets, but also Ellie Mae would be her selection. Right, before we get to Izzy's nap and next best of the whole week, we're going to touch upon the handicaps for day 4 just quickly. We've got the county hurdle kicking things off, and that's where I've got a selection actually, and that'll be with Irascible for Henry de Bromhead and the Gigginstown team. Now, not guaranteed to run here, has got an entry in the Supreme, is around 40-50 to 1 for the Supreme, which is a ludicrous price. But if you look at the form, finished behind Appreciated twice in the last 2 runs and has looked very good and stayed on very well. So strong run county hurdle will be right up this horse's street. Thinks it's, he's going to be staying on absolutely perfectly. Formerly beaten horse called Decimation, who was from the same yard. Decimation since come out and absolutely bolted up for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore. I think she's going to have a really good ride aboard this horse, and Gigginstown are going to have a nice winner on the festival, around 20 to 1 if this horse goes. I think it's got a major chance. Izzy, have you got one for the county or anything elsewhere?
So I quite like 50 Ball in the county, and it's same as your selection. It might not go. It's got quite a few entries in quite a few of the other races at the festival. But I'm just looking at how well it actually ran last time. And I'm looking for trainers that are going into the festival in form, and you absolutely cannot knock the form of Gary Moore right now. So that's just one that I think, if it goes, I think you'll get a good run for your money there. And I also, for that reason, quite like Gowell Road. For the Twiston Davis team, I think that, again, that ran quite nicely last time out. I've noticed that they're starting to hit form. So I think that they could have a few you know, some of their best chances in the festival are going to be in these handicaps because they're without the big runners this year in the graded races, which is unusual for them actually. So I think that Sam especially will be looking to ride a couple of these up to get some prize money for the Tristan Davis team. And my sort of last selection that I had looked at was Kadzan in again in the county. It was quite disappointing last time out against Soaring Glory, but I think that it should come on for that run because that was the first run back after a little bit of a break, and I think it will come on for that. And again, it could be another one that you know get a good run for your money.
Okay, Jack. With regards to the handicaps, I mean, we're probably not even going to touch upon the Fox Hunters because we're not going to have all of the amateur riders, which is a massive shame. We mentioned it on earlier in the week, but if I was to select one in that race, by the way, I'd go Bob and Co for David Maxwell. Unfortunately, David Maxwell won't be riding, which is a massive shame. He's had a really nasty injury, but I'd love to see David Maxwell own a winner at Cheltenham. It's actually been one of his dreams to do so. He's actually dreamed of riding one as well, which is a massive shame if that horse was to go in and do it, but I do hope that it runs very well. Jack, handicaps at Cheltenham, go.
Yeah, I mean, the Friday's a little bit of a tricky one. I mean, I like looking at the Martin Pipe, not this far out at the moment. Hopefully the wide receiver dream's still on. Not sure what kind of mark he's going to be on, though. But yeah, I mean, the one name that you hear when you hear the county hurdle is Dan Skelton. I mean, he's won it 2 of the last 3 years with Mohayed and Chitabello. Now he has 2 in this. Third time lucky, he's off 144. Probably won't go and we'll head to the Supreme. And obviously Kadzan. Now, Kadzan's rated 140 and was pretty disappointing in the Betfair hurdle, finished 12th, but Harry didn't give him too much of an annoying ride. He just kind of settled about 4 or 5 wide, was in contention about travelling well until about 3-2 out. At 2 out, didn't find much off the bridle, got one little tap, and that was it. He was eased off back in 12th, and I think he could have a good chance depending on how he's come out of it. I know he's drifted from 16s to 25s, but you can't write the Skeltons off, and I'll be definitely keeping an eye on him.
There we go. Some really, really decent selections. Hopefully some big prices as well for the Friday the festival. Hopefully win some money back if you have lost a fair bit in the first 3 days.
I've got nothing left. I've got nothing left.
That is it for the handicaps for day 4 of the festival. Right, and this week we've been giving all of our guests the choice to give their nap and next best for the whole week at the festival. And Jack and I have been saying sort of throughout the week that we're putting £5 on the nap for our guest and £5 on the next best, with all of the money made going to prostate cancer and the injured jockey fund split between them. So hopefully we're going to make a fair bit of money. We've got Oshie Murphy, who's napped up Tiger Roll on our first preview day, and we've had Andrew Halligan with Honeystock. I think we've had Album Photo and Galvin. Izzy, we want your nap and your next best for the festival, please.
Okay, so my nap is actually going to be a big race double. I'm going at Chac and Poursoir in the Champion Chase on Wednesday, and then I'm going to pair that up with Paisley Park in the Stayers on Thursday. In terms of my next best, I turn to Tuesday, and I quite like Roxana in the mares.
Oh, okay. Ooh. There we go. So some decent price. I think Roxana around 4-1, 7-2 for the mares, and also I think that double would probably pay around 6-7-1 with Paisley Park and Chac and Poursoir. So nice to see some good price. Well, hopefully we get a few winners. We'll make some nice money for the charities. But Izzy, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I hope you have a load of winners for the week. We're only a few weeks away now, and we're looking forward to it. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed your time on the Next Gen Racing channel.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's been great fun.
Yeah, thanks very much. Right, that's it. We're done for our Cheltenham Festival previews. We thank all of our guests that have come on for the week. It's been great fun, and we've hopefully given you guys a couple of winners, and hopefully we've made plenty of money for charities via their naps and next best. But before we do finish and leave you guys, we've got to go off with mine and Jack's naps and next best. Now, I'll kick things off, and I'll start with my next best before I go on to my nap. And my next best will be Paisley Park in the Stayers. I've mentioned it in the videos, but he's on his home turf. I think the race is going to be run to suit, and I think if you look back at his last run at Ascot where he won, I think he's got an absolutely major chance. I can see him being off the bridle, out of the camera shot, and then just slowly creeping in, staying on as they hit the last and taking things up. And the nap of the Cheltenham Festival is the one and only, the King, Goshen. He's 4-1. I think he's got an absolutely major chance. We discussed with Osheen at the start of the week. He's a horse that grinds horses down into submission. And I think that might just catch a few of them out. I think it's going to be between him and Honeysuckle, but I think that Goshen has got a major chance in the champion hurdle. Jack, your Napa next best of the whole festival.
So I'll start with my next best, and that is going to be Gail de Manilla in the Ballymore. He's 3-1 at the moment, but I think he's a top class horse. Willie Mullins knows he's a top class horse. I think he's got the form in the book a lot better than Brave Man's Game and Bob Wallinger. I think that's going to show come the festival where he'll hop over the second last, he'll breeze past around the outside, and he'll do the business for us there. And my nap of the festival is going to be Lieutenant Rocco in the Ultima at 10-1. So a better price nap, which we like to see. But yeah, he just took to 3 miles so nicely at Foss Lass. I love the way he jumps. He steals lengths out of them. And I hope he doesn't go for the novice event, because I will look like a bit of an idiot. But I don't think Ascaria 10's going to go here, and I don't think he'll be 10-1 come the day. So there you are, Lieutenant Rocco 10-1 for the Ultima.
There we go, nice decent price, and like I said, the money will be going to charity with £5 on each of our naps and next best, and hopefully we'll make some decent amount for prostate cancer and the injured Jockeys Fund. Now, we're probably not going to be back now until after the festival. We're going to have some decent videos out next week, which will be just highlights of our previews. So you'll see the likes of what our picks for the championship races, the handicaps, and also the naps and next best. But Jack, that means it's only one thing. It's the flat season. Hey, we love it. We love the flat season.
Come on!